Shalom. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to all the apostles at Great Millstone who rule well. And honors to all you brothers, my fellow Akim, who continue to push this vibration of the Most High, continue to push the vibration of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, and continue to put these devils in their place and these heathens, man. And unfortunately, 2/3 of our own people. And I woke up this morning and here goddamn Esau go again. There he go. Hey man, the so-called white man is sowing seeds of iniquity everywhere he goes, man. This nigga can't stay out of trouble to save his goddamn life. And this is a article from the Sun UK. Now, and here's a funny thing. Over the past few weeks, it's been a lot of articles coming out of the UK. A lot of these American news agencies, they don't want to touch a lot of these subjects, man, because they don't want to get caught up. Washington, what was that shit called? The news place based out of Washington. I forgot what that shit is called. It's owned by Jeff Bezos. Not the Washington Herald. I don't know, but places like them, New York Times, you know what I mean? All these other places, they're not touching a lot of these subjects. All the heavy-hitting articles are coming out of international news agencies. And this says, flying bomb. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro survives assassination bid using drones packed with explosives during live TV speech. And this is a Jake right here, man. Maduro, he wasn't even stunned that shit. Because he knows, man, he knows what time it is. He knows that we getting close. He knows that the so-called white man's influence, man, is reaching all-time highs. And it says, TV footage shows the president shocked as one of the drones detonates above his podium in Caracas. I'm going to see if it'll play the video.
In Jesus' name I play.
God damn, boy. I swear to God, you can't go nowhere without hearing some bullshit, man. Look at this shit.
La Venezuela consciente. Vamos a apostar por el bien de nuestro país. Ha llegado la hora de la recuperación económica y necesitamos.
You see? Now, if you go back, my Spanish is not too good. I can read Spanish very well. I got a Spanish Bible. I like to read from that. I don't know what the hell it says sometimes, you know, but I feel like if over time you can learn to speak, you know, to the other tribes, you know, it can help. So, you know, I got a Spanish Bible, and a couple of words that he said, I mean, they sound a lot like English. Like you heard him say something economica, you know, so obviously that has something to do with the economy. And as soon as he get to talking about the economy, you know, the drones are popping off. Now, here's the funny thing about these drones, man. And we're gonna go through the whole article here, and then I got a couple precepts. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has survived an apparent assassination attempt by quote unquote terrorists who detonated drones rigged with explosives as he addressed a military parade. Hundreds of soldiers broke ranks and sprinted for cover as blasts rang out last night over the capital, Caracas. 7 soldiers were hurt, you know. And there go one of the Lord's favorite numbers, man. 7. You know, that could be anything. You know, I'm not saying, oh, because 7 soldiers got hurt, it's the Lord's hand. Well, I mean, never mind. Of course it is. All this is the Lord's hand. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has survived an apparent assassination attempt using drones laden with explosives. His wife, Celia Flores, is seen wincing as both look up after the unidentified sound. Now, let me tell you something about man and about woman. Look at Maduro's woman right here. To the left. She looks scared as all get out. She looked like she want to run right then and there. She looked like she was attempting to grab the dude's arm right here, push him out the way so she can run. These women, they don't want no smoke, man. A lot of these men understand what time it is. Look at the rest of my brothers, man. Because these are our people. People seem to forget that Venezuela, that's Israel. You know what I'm saying? That's Israelites right there. So you see the men ain't stunning. You see all the people in the army. Look at this dude in the black hat to the right. He ready for death. That's his face. Who wants smoke? The dude in the red hat right here. He's like, who wants smoke? Even the dude behind him, even the dude behind Maduro, he look a little scared, but I mean, he's playing it firm. And then look at my brother right here. Look at my brother to the left, right behind Maduro's wife. I mean, he just looked like he won't smoke. The spirit of the Most High has been put on a lot of these men to not have fear. In these last days, because we are in the last days, confirmed. There's no denying it. It's just apparent, you know. Ah, shit, I shouldn't have pressed that, because it's gonna take you off on some other shit. Anyways, back to the article. Maduro has since called on U.S. President D.J. Trump, Slovakia, to join his fight against the terrorist groups responsible for the attack. So that's a nice way. That's a nice way. And this mostly happens in the impoverished areas of America. But when you live in the hood, right, and you get some shit stolen from you, right? Let's say you seen a big Debo ass nigga, and he was next to your apartment, and some shit got stolen. A lot of niggas, they don't want to openly accuse a Debo type nigga of stealing, because then he gonna retaliate. You know what I mean? So what he do? He kind of asks, hey, could you maybe help me look for whoever did it, or do you know anything, or anything like that? Even though they kind of believe that they did it. You know what I mean? So really, that's what Maduro is doing. Maduro is asking Donald Trump for help to fight against the terrorist group, but he kind of know that this ain't nobody in Venezuela. Why in the fuck would they do that? It's no reason to. It's absolutely no reason to do anything like this, So in a roundabout way, he's kind of asking, hey, can we both figure this out? Because this ain't got shit to do with me on my end. And it says the explosions cut short a televised speech by the Venezuelan head of government during the National Guard's 81st anniversary celebration. Maduro, blamed for the impoverished country's crippling inflation and shortages of basic goods, was unharmed. So once again, Maduro is blamed for the impoverished country. You need to be blaming the so-called white man who covets fields. Little do a lot of people know, because the average American is just stupid. That's why most of our people are going to be destroyed. They lack understanding. But if you had any sense of understanding, you would know that Venezuela, man, Venezuela is sitting on a plot of oil that very few countries have. They got a lot of fucking oil. And you already know what time it is. Esau figured, look, if I can get the oil, right, I can get the economy. So once again, just like how he destabilizes Iran, this is how he's destabilizing Venezuela. He's demonizing his leaders. Okay? He's doing whatever he can to sow seeds of iniquity within within Venezuela. And just leave it up to the goddamn devil to make it look like you the one who causing all this. Do you really believe that this is just based off of them? Like, that there's no outside influence to this entire thing? Like, it's only based off of Venezuela. People were I used to work with this guy. He was this older guy. He's like 50, 60 something. He said he came from Venezuela, and he was working at like it's kind of like a sandwich place. And he told me I'd rather sit here, cutting up tomatoes and onions all day than be back in Venezuela. Now in Venezuela, he was accomplished, you know what I mean? I believe he did like dental work or something like that. But he had to travel all the way to Florida just to cut up tomatoes and onions, man, to make a living. You know what I mean? So that not only does Esau got people leaving their homes, Esau got people traveling abroad. Hey, had you told him at 20 years old that when he was 60 he would be traveling to Florida to cut tomatoes and onions, he probably would have fucking laughed. But it just so happens that the Lord is making this apparent. The Lord is making this manifest, that the so-called white man not only is sowing all this shit, but that they're talking about him openly. And by the time you get to the end of this article, you'll realize, yeah, man, the so-called white man got something to do with this. And it says, Information Minister Jorge Rodriguez condemned it as an attempted attack on the president's life. A uniformed Venezuelan officer was pictured with head injuries following the drone blast. And when I seen that, I had a verse here. Well, I did. Hell, I'll just look up the search word for Esau. Because whenever you type in Esau in the search bar, you're gonna get some shit. You're gonna get some shit that's gonna reveal a little something. Okay. It says Genesis chapter 32, verse 11. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. For I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with children. And what does he continue to do? He's continuing to smite, not only physically, by trying to kill the brothers out here. I mean, look at them, man. These are people, and you over here popping off drones and shit. That's unnecessary. So because of that fear, because of the fear of the so-called white man, they keep in this perpetual cycle, man, of hatred towards themselves, okay, and hatred towards everybody but the so-called white man. Because nobody's in the streets, and there's a handful of Venezuelans that are self-proclaimed Israelites. I don't know if they got a camp out there. They probably do. Got a camp out there, but it's a lot of people talking about the so-called white man now. Because during this whole Venezuela thing, they try to keep it political. This is not political. This is a spiritual battle, man. The so-called white man is trying to destabilize Venezuela in order to get its assets, in order to get its resources. Okay, because places like Venezuela, they're some of the last places in the world that are having their own, and they call it socialism, but they kind of have their own thing going on. And socialism really is based off the so-called white man. Anyways, so not only are they going after their lives, man, they're shutting down everything. The so-called white man is like, hey, nigga, give me my socialism back. You can't even be a socialist. And y'all are the ones who came up with the goddamn shit in the first place. So now that it was working, you know what I mean? Because Venezuela, prior to all this, hey, Venezuela was a nice little place. Get you a nice little gig. You know what I mean? The land is beautiful. Women are beautiful. You know what I mean? Hey, it was the place to be. Now look at it. I mean, look, they spilling blood. You know. Let me see here. This is Genesis chapter 33, verse 15. And Esau said, "Let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with me." And he said, "What needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord." Even Esau, man, even Esau always trying to act like he trying to accommodate people. He trying to help. That's why when all this shit popped off, they asking, well, how can we help? How can we help? Nigga, you the one who started all this shit. What the fuck are you talking about? You see, that's the thing about Esau. If you read the end of that, let me find grace in the sight of my Lord. He didn't want to find no sight. He didn't want to find no grace. You know? He don't want that. Every time he speaks, it's a goddamn lie. Okay? Ooh, here we go. Here we go. Body blow. Genesis 33, verse 16. So Esau returned that day on his way unto Seir. Seir meaning Mount Seir, which is where they dwelled at for a very long time. That was like their original habitation. Now they want to inhabit everything. There are a lot of so-called white people in Venezuela right now living very well. Very, very well. You know? Okay. We just gonna go down here. Oh, great. This is one of my favorites. This is Obadiah chapter 1, verse 18. In the house of Jacob shall be a fire, in the house of Joseph a flame, in the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them, and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. So thus saith the Lord, so-called white man, for sowing all these seeds of iniquity all across the world. Okay? Y'all's ass is going down. And breaking down this first part, it says, in the house of Jacob shall be a fire. So who's the house of Jacob? The house of Jacob is Israel. His 12 sons and, all the people that were produced from his 12 sons, aka the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, after that, it says, in the house of Joseph a flame. So traditionally, when you go to church, they teach you about the Immaculate Conception, which is it's actually the Immaculate Deception. Okay, because in church, you hear that Joseph didn't have sex with Mary, and that's a fucking lie. And that's one of the reasons why I hate these goddamn devils, because they continue, not only do they continue to make this infighting, make people fight against each other, but they don't break down the shit properly. The reason why it says in a house of Joseph a flame, you see, a fire is big, it's raging, right? You see, Judah is separate, but it's with Israel, because Judah is like the leaders of Israel. Because the house of Joseph is the house of Judah. You see, because who the world calls Jesus Christ, he sprang out of Judah. And let me go ahead, see if that's in here. For our Lord Okay. This is Hebrews chapter 7, verse 14. For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood. So our Lord, Hamashiach Yahushai, came from the tribe of Judah. So that's why when it says Joseph of Flame, you see, because Hamashiach Yahushai came from Joseph's loins, he's Judah. So Judah is kind of like if we were all a team, right? If all 12 tribes played a football position, Judah would be the quarterback. You know, it's not like, oh, Judah is its own special entity. No. It is the leader of the pack. It's the head, it's the head honcho of the group, so to speak. And that's one of the lies that the so-called white man says. Now, you read it right here. Hebrews chapter 7, verse 14, for it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah. So he came from the tribe of Judah, meaning that Yahushai's father was Joseph. That was his father. God never had sex with Mary. That is a fucking perversion. You know, and it's sickening to think about that the so-called white man can continue to push this agenda and nobody see it. You goddamn liars, man. And you see when I typed in for our Lord sprang and this and that, it says 0 results. I had to literally type in the whole thing. You know? Cause they be trying to hide shit. Like they don't want you to look up certain things. Cause when you look it up, it proves the point. So all you damn all you damn Christians talking about God had sex with Mary, that's perverted. That's a perversion. And second of all, the Lord would never lay with a woman here. He would never. Why would he even do that? Why would the Most High God, why would the most perfect entity that was here before time and space was created, why would he lay with woman? That makes absolutely no fucking sense. He wouldn't do that. And he didn't do that. And for y'all's lying, you know what I mean? And for y'all's, man, I can't believe that. I cannot believe that shit, man. Let's just get back to the article. Man, these people make me fucking sick. Saying that the Lord had sex with Mary. Like, what the hell is going on with these people, man? But let's get back on this. But yeah, basically, that proves in Hebrews chapter 7, verse 14, that proves that Jesus Christ came from the tribe of Judah and that his father was Joseph, a carpenter, a master carpenter. You know what I mean? And not only that, but Yahushai used to work for his father, because in those times it was like an apprenticeship. Whatever your father did, you did. You know what I mean? And you would learn from him, and you would work in his business, you know. But that's been taken away. The so-called black man, first of all, he doesn't even have a father if he's not dead or in jail. Second of all, even if he do got a father, he don't own a business. You know, the highest achievement that a black man can get is for your father to be in the military. You know what I mean? That's about it. Just like these men, you know, these men in their communities, they're highly regarded, you know, for being in the military. But that's really the most prestigious, you know, that's the most prestigious job you can have. Now, how is it that the Most High's son used to do carpentry? You know? So that just goes to show that you don't have to do all this crazy shit, you know, have these crazy jobs in order to be, you know, a good person. Because while we're sitting here talking about, oh, who got this, who got that, who drives the BMW, you got shit like this going on. I'm pretty sure this man with his head bleeding, I'm pretty sure he has a nice house, you know, good car, all that. But how is that going to help his head from bleeding? Had that piece of shrapnel had really have done some damage, it'd be hanging out of his head right now, you know? Then what good would all these things be? And that's why out of all these men that are sitting here, he got hurt, you know, for a specific reason, you know, and maybe that's a reminder. Maybe this will help him turn his life around, You know, get him thinking about what's important, and the spirit may come over him like, hey, you know, these so-called white people got to go, because you know he's pissed off. But anyways, to finish off the this little paragraph, he said at exactly 5:41 p.m. in the afternoon, several explosions were heard. The investigation clearly reveals that they came from drone-like devices that carried explosives. Wearing a presidential banner, Maduro was speaking on a podium alongside his wife, Celia Flores, and several high-ranking military officials. So, you know, he was with all his homeboys and his woman, and shit started popping off. He told the crowds, "To the conscious Venezuela, we are going to bet for the good of our country. The hour of the economic recovery has come, and we need ... And that's when the drones popped off. See, so when you read what he says, to the conscious Venezuelan. Now, if you a conscious Venezuelan, first of all, you understand where these economic hardships are coming from. They're coming from the so-called white man. There is nothing being done to Venezuela that is not thought about beforehand. Everybody that you see talking shit about Venezuela, they don't know what's going on in Venezuela. They say, oh, well, maybe them Venezuelans everybody should get a job and this and that about socialism. This has nothing to do with socialism. They want that oil. The so-called white man is so goddamn covetous, he's going to turn a whole country upside down just to get a liquid, bro. A fucking liquid. Like, you really going to go this far. And that's why they popped off the drones. And we don't know who, but that's why they popped off the drones when he started speaking some real positive shit. Because he said, to the conscious Venezuela, we are going to bet for the good of our country. So he ain't finna give up. What he's saying is, so-called white man, you not coming into Venezuela and fucking us up. We gonna stand firm, and if you want smoke, let's get it. That's basically what he's saying, because he's saying the hour of our economic recovery has come. So they got plans going. They're trying to get different shit going so that they can bounce back. Because just like Iran, Venezuela don't need the so-called white man meddling in their affairs. First of all, none of these women in the background, if you look, there's something very significant that you see. Venezuelans are wise, man. Venezuelans are wise. If you look in this background right here, everybody's covering up your boy Maduro. But what is his wife doing? His wife is just peeping. You see the wife right here, you see the woman up here, they're looking up like, oh my God. What is that? Only the men are preparing, and that's how it is for Israel. The men of Israel prepare, and the woman, is supposed to be a helpmate. So the fact that she didn't come over to help her man, hey, I'm gonna tell you something. If my wife don't come and stand in front of the bullet for me, oh man, I'm gonna be fucking upset. She shouldn't be all the way over there. She should be next to her man, trying to protect him. But, she off on the side. She fears for her life. And that fear for her life is gripped, man, is gripped by Esau. Esau understands fear. Fear is a very motivating factor. Fear gets shit done. All right? In the fear of these women losing their hair extensions, she got on nice clothes. The fear of her losing them clothes, the jewelry, the finest of food. That's what's making these women submit to the will of Esau. That's what it is. This was a demonstration of fear to try and get the people of Venezuela in order. But the men will not have it. The men ain't finna have it. They don't got the time for this. They want their country, man, and they will stand firm to keep their country. And the reason why the country is going through this is because they're Israelites, and they've turned their face towards the Most High. You think any of these officers in here, when they saw the drone strike, none of them was like, Call halal Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Rakakwadash. Nobody. Everybody was thinking about what they were finna have for lunch after the speech, where they were finna go. They weren't thinking about no repercussions, Then they got the army dude coming out. And you know who pays for all this shit? Taxpayers, because while all this shit is going on, people are still paying their taxes. You know? So you can tell that this place is it's in distress, but it's not in enough distress yet. And that's why the so-called white man wants to continue to destabilize this place. This says a day of violence and confusion, and these are some bullet points. Explosions rang out above the Venezuelan National Guard's 81st anniversary celebration at 5:41 p.m. yesterday. President Nicolas Maduro delivered a speech. Seven soldiers were injured in the attack as security personnel rushed to protect Maduro. Buildings were also damaged by the exploding drones. Addressing the press after the blast, he said 2 drones had been deployed in an attempt to assassinate him. The president blamed the attack on exiles in the U.S. and Colombia, as well as the Colombian government. Now a lot of them people in the Colombian government, they fear Esau as well, because they're hand in hand. They have to work together. See, Esau knows that Colombia has a certain export that we all know about. We've all watched Narcos. And that export is what is fueling the money for a lot of this destabilization. So Colombia and Esau are going hand in hand. Those 2/3 in Colombia are working with Esau. You know what I mean? And for that, y'all are finna get dealt with too. And all you damn 2/3, all you 2/3 Israelites, because Colombia, those are Israelites. Y'all working with the so-called white man, that's gonna be y'all's end, man. And y'all keep on thinking y'all can be cool with this dude. Man, the so-called white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Here's the next bullet point. Colombian officials denied responsibility for the attack. Hey, you smart for that one. No idiot is going to take responsibility for this shit. It says an obscure group called Soldiers in T-Shirts claim they carried out the assassination attempt, although this is unverified. And no, they didn't. This wasn't no just regular shit. Soldiers in T-shirts. They just threw a name out. Maybe it was the Soldiers in T-shirts. We don't know. We can't verify. These motherfuckers know exactly who did this. And it says Maduro called for support from Donald Trump to help me fight these terrorists. So like I was saying about the analogy about the nigga in the hood. See, if it's a big ass nigga in the hood and you see him lurking by your house and some shit come up missing, you gonna ask him what happened, but you're not gonna run up on him. You ever seen Friday and Debo steal the dude bike? What he asked him? Hey, I was wondering if I can get my bike back. He didn't say, hey, nigga, let me get my bike. You know what I'm saying? He said, oh, you think I could get my bike back? Because that's that sense of fear. And, Venezuela, they fear that. They fear what the white man is doing. So that's why he's saying, help me fight these terrorists, even though we already know what time it is. We already know what time it is. This was one of two things. This was either, one of three things. This was either some fucking heathens, our own people. This was some 2/3 Israelites, or Esau. That's it. That's really your only three options. And it says Venezuelan officials said several suspects had been arrested but did not disclose their identities. And isn't that ironic? Because these suspects have been arrested, but their identities aren't disclosed. Now, who can do that? There's a lot of international laws that have been put in place that when it comes to terrorism, your ass ain't getting no rights. For example, the 2012 NDAA Patriot Act, or whatever the hell that was, that claims that if you are a terrorist, you don't get no rights. So basically, because these people were part of a terroristic assault, nobody's gonna know their names. They're probably getting their ass beat as we speak right now, and we don't know their name. We don't know them because of these new international laws that have been put in place. They can deem anybody a terrorist. See, the so-called white man, if you speaking against what the so-called white man doing, he's gonna deem you unfit to use your lips, and he's gonna take your identity. The biggest case of identity theft in human history came when white people decided they wanted to be the Jews. That was the biggest case of identity theft ever. And they still steal our identity to this day. Native Americans, Latinos, and Negroes are the chosen people of God. They're who you would call the Israelites, or Yasharallah, the princes of the power. And that power being Yahweh. You know what I mean? He is the ultimate power. He was here before time, space. He'll be here after everything is said and done. And he's the one who's pulling the strings to this thing. You know, he's the one who's making it so that we don't know the identities of these people. You know, only the watchman will know. And the spirit and the spirit is just flowing through me in the way to where, man, I know it was the so-called white man. Ain't nobody gotta tell me different. I know what the hell going on. And let's continue to read. Later, security forces were seen checking a nearby building that was apparently set alight around the same time as the explosions. So whoever did this, they're fucking smart. Because wherever they launched the drone from, or wherever, you know, they were operating the drone from, or whoever was giving them the coordinates in order to, do this attack, they burned the place up. So you ain't going to get no evidence of nothing, because everything's burnt up. So these people are well learned. And who's well learned in sowing seeds of iniquity? The so-called goddamn white man. So you already know who this was. This is probably just a handful of Edomites. You know what I'm saying? That were given some sort of money, some sort of incentive in order to pull this shit off. Because the so-called white man has been getting caught abroad everywhere. They die in a lot of these wars in Syria. So-called white men, they'll die in the battlefield. And people will be like, well, what the fuck? What's this so-called white man doing here? What was he doing in Syria? What was the so-called white man doing in Venezuela? That's supposed to be a place of Venezuelans who are Israelites. But once again, you go there and it's white people living the dream, and then you got Israelites eating out of trash cans and shit. It's sickening. And it says, Maduro said at no point did he panic, confident the military would protect him. And see, that's his fucking problem. He's confident in the military. He needs to be confident in Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashim Kakodash. And he gonna be all right. And this is how they were looking prior to the loud bang. So everybody here looking real confident. And this is before the explosion. So you see how they're standing? Venezuela wants smoke with the so-called white man. You can see it on Maduro's face. You can see it on everybody's face. They tired of the bullshit. Another reason why you know that Venezuelans are Israelites, if you look to the right next to Maduro, you see that guy right there? In America, he would be considered a so-called Negro. But he's a Venezuelan. You see, there are different shades, man. You go down to Brazil, you got a lot of Brazilians that look black. For example, Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva, if he was to walk around, you would consider him a black man. No, he's a Brazilian. So he's from the tribe of Asher. He's Israelite, and that's why he's able to fight the way he does, you know what I mean? Because in his past life, he was a fighter. He was either a boxer or something of the sort in his past life, and that's a big stumbling block for our people too. They don't understand that these people are reincarnated as who they are. Maduro, in his past life, he was some sort of leader. We don't know who, we don't know what, but that's who he was, and that's who he is reincarnated as today, as a leader. So you see, you got the explosions, you got people over here investigating, whatever. That drone came after me, he said, but there was a shield of love that always protects us. I'm sure I'll live for many more years. And you see that confidence, man? You can't have that confidence in man. You have to believe that you'll make it. Don't say, oh, I'm sure I'll live. No. Pray to the Most High that he continues to give you those days. And it says he said police had made a number of arrests but gave no further details. He also said he believed Colombia's president, Juan Manuel Santos, one of his most outspoken critics, was behind the bomb plot. Now here's where he's also fucking up. Colombia may have financially provided some incentive, but this was not the hand of the so-called Colombians. This is the so-called white man in a nutshell. And it says he claimed the plot was planned and financed in Florida and asked for Donald Trump's help catching the perpetrators. These fucking advertisements, man. Fucking advertisements. So-called black man, look. There you go.
Han intentado asesinarme el día de hoy. Y no tengo duda que todo apunta a la derecha, a la ultraderecha venezolana en alianza contra la ultraderecha colombiana y que el nombre de Juan Manuel Santos está detrás de este atentado. No tengo dudas. Están introduciendo a la vida política del país elementos que no son venezolanos. Tengo que informar que han sido capturados parte de los autores materiales del atentado contra mi vida el día de hoy y se encuentran ya procesados. Ha sido capturada parte de la evidencia.
See, they're all family. You see that black man and that so-called white man? They're Israelites.
Responsables intelectuales, financistas de este atentado contra mi vida viven en los Estados Unidos de Norteamérica, en el estado de la Florida. Espero que el gobierno del presidente Donald Trump esté dispuesto a combatir grupos terroristas que pretenden cometer magnicidios o atentados contra países pacíficos de nuestro continente, en este caso Venezuela. Y no quedaría polvo sobre polvo de ustedes, oligarcas.
Oligarca, so oligarch.
No quedaría polvo sobre polvo.
You know. So he's not with it. The spirit is on him, man. Spirit is on him to say these things, and the spirit is on him to stand up against the so-called white man. Just period. Let me see. I'm gonna probably read down to about right here. Stop. Mr. Maduro, who succeeded tyrant Hugo Chavez, was elected to a new term in office in May despite a crippling economic and humanitarian crisis and violence on the streets. And that was the Lord. You see, because when all this shit in Venezuela happened, the so-called white man figured, okay, since all this bad shit is happening, I'm making all this bad shit happen, the people are going to turn. But you see, the people love Maduro because Maduro has that spirit of not standing down. He will not stand down. They're going to have to get rid of him in order for him to basically bend his knee. He is not going to bend his knee to the so-called white man. And that's the spirit of the Most High on him. But because he lacks that understanding, because he lacks that knowledge, he doesn't know that. He just thinks it's him standing up against Trump. And it says, despite a crippling economic and humanitarian crisis. So really, the Lord had him stay in. They said that the vote was obviously rigged and called for fresh international sanctions. So what does that mean? Fresh international sanctions basically means, okay, bring in the so-called white man so we can destabilize this place and set it up like how we want it. That's all that means. Whenever somebody gets voted in and the so-called white man can't influence him, he get to fucking up his economy. So this guy, Boris Johnson, he's right. It was obviously rigged by the Most High himself. If the Most High wants Maduro in office, Maduro getting in office. Just like Trump. People always ask, how the fuck did Trump get in office? The Most High. He put He put Trump in office as a stumbling block for you people, to be a deceiver. And the Most High wanted a lot of people to fall for Trump's ways. Hell, tell you the truth, when Trump first came around, I liked him. I thought he was funny, you know, and the rest of it. But this was prior to me understanding that I was an Israelite. At that point in time, I didn't know I was an Israelite. This is when he first came around. When Trump first started running for office and all that other stuff, and when he finally won and everything like that, I had no idea about the Israelite thing. I had no idea about anything. So I thought he was a good man. I even thought, that for a little bit, he was going to help things. Until I found out that not only am I an Israelite, but he's the goddamn devil that the Bible speaks of. Maduro's regime has been accused of locking up political opponents and using deadly force to put down protests. So once again, man, and I know Maduro is not some good, some goody two shoes. I'm not romanticizing the political agenda of Venezuela. You know what I mean? But I understand that Venezuela is our people. That is who you would call a Latino. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read what's in the blue. Oh, that's going to be the end of it. I'm going to read this real quick. Then we're going to get to the precepts. How President Maduro plunged Venezuela into political and economic crisis. Once again, President Maduro didn't plunge anything into political and economic crisis. That was the so-called white man through destabilization of the oil fields there, their technology there. Everything that is able to make a profit has been completely turned upside down by the so-called white man. His influence is in that motherfucker like you would never believe. I'm going to read this and then get to the precepts. President Nicolas Maduro has clung to power in Venezuela, plunging the country into political turmoil at home and with governments overseas. So you see what the Sun is doing. The Sun.uk, bunch of fucking devils. Because whoever wrote this article, man, is so fucking biased. It says he has clung to power. He's clung to power because the Lord put him there. And when he wants to remove him, he'll remove him. Because he says that he's plunging the country into turmoil at home and with, not a government overseas, governments overseas. So Venezuela is pissing off governments. And I wonder, since the Sun is a news agency based out of the United Kingdom, I wonder if the United Kingdom has any interest in Venezuela. I wonder if maybe, and this is a far stretch, but maybe the so-called white man in America and the so-called white man in Britain and the so-called white man in France and the so-called white man in Germany, amongst other places, are trying to destabilize Venezuela in order to allocate their resources to them. Because that's what the so-called white man does. You cannot blame everything simply on America. That doesn't make any sense. You have to blame it on a nation of people. The nation of Edom is what's causing a lot of this shit. That's it. Because Israelites are spread everywhere. So we're not going to just blame America for this shit. A person that is discerning this spiritually is not just going to blame America. Because they said it themselves. Turmoil with governments. So they've pissed off a lot of people, man. And it's simply because the spirit has it that way. International observers have decried Maduro's violent clampdown that has seen more than 125 people die in bloody clashes since he won sweeping powers in a rigged election in August last year. So they're saying once again that it was rigged. Yeah, hell yeah, it was rigged. The Most High rigged that thing up real good. And when he won, there was all this outcry, outlash. Because you seen when Maduro come in, he came in the spirit of, hey, I'm in this thing, and I'm not taking no for an answer. You know, because he succeeded Hugo Chavez. And if people think that Maduro is bad, Hugo Chavez, man, he wasn't playing no games either. And he was about that gunplay. You know what I mean? So this is a more lighter version. This guy Maduro. And it says, once the richest country in Latin America, and despite still being a major oil exporting nation, the now socialist administration's economy is on the verge of total collapse. And who's brought upon that total collapse? So-called white man, aka the devil that the Bible speaks of, aka a liar, because he has deceived most Americans into believing that Venezuela has done something wrong. If you ask the average American, okay, what do you feel about Venezuela? They're going to say all sorts of shit. But nobody's going to say, yeah, the so-called white man is destabilizing that country in order to allocate its resources. Nobody's saying that. And it says hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans have fled the country, where food and medicine are in short supply, and inflation could reach 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. According to the International Monetary Fund, aka the IMF, aka the most fucking wicked. Yo, man, the International Monetary Fund is wicked as hell. And it's controlled by the so-called white man. So how did they get the information in order to assume that inflation would increase by 1,000,000%? Obviously, they got to have people getting the information. I mean, you can see it right here. The IMF, they want to get rid of Venezuela, bro. They want that oil because the IMF is the so-called white man. You really think that Israel is running anything in that building? No, fuck no. And it says Maduro, a 55-year-old socialist leader, has stuffed the current parliament and Supreme Court with his own supporters. And America, Mexico, Colombia, and Panama have all sanctioned a number of their leaders. And just like I was talking about. Look at these countries. France, Germany, and Canada withdrew their ambassadors. And the U.S. previously told all embassy staff to leave the country. So why would they do that? Why would France, Germany, and Canada withdraw their ambassadors? Because they know, yeah, if they stay in Venezuela, they're finna get fucked up. Because ultimately, Venezuela's finna get hit with nukes too. When all this shit is said and done, Venezuela getting hit with nukes too. Because France is popping off nukes, Germany popping off nukes, Canada popping off nukes. Everybody has nuclear capability. And that's one of the big lies that the so-called white man says. He says, oh, well, only America and Russia has nukes. And that's not true. Pakistan got nukes. India got nukes. You know, everybody has nukes. It's just who has a certain amount. Some countries got more than others. But basically everybody got the capability to pop some shit off. So because France, Germany, and Canada knows that, they've withdrew all their ambassadors. You know? And the U.S. previously told all its staff to leave the country too. So it's gearing up itself. Just like Iran is getting geared up for war, Venezuela is getting geared up for war too. Because what the so-called white man is going to do, he's going to command and conquer. You know, just like the game. And if you ever played Command and Conquer, the way that you beat everybody is you have to make them go against each other. And when they're all weak, you come and you overthrow them. I'm going to finish this last couple sentences. The president violently suppressed protests after his election last year as thousands marched for 4 months against his creation of the Constitutional Assembly, which solidified his hold on the government. The body replaced elected legislature, and the Supreme Court later declared the more democratic National Assembly dissolved. So it's a lot of infighting in there, man. They don't know what they want to do, you know, and that's the Lord causing that confusion, you know. That's the Lord causing that place to really, really go through it. And, I'm going all the way to the bottom. I saw some comments that I thought were pretty interesting right here. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the precepts, and then I'll end this video. Okay. This guy said his wife looked like she messed herself. The soldiers didn't exactly do a good job on protecting him either. Because they're concerned with themselves. You can't really blame them for that. But see, people are blinded. Look at this so-called white man. Look, Mike Hambuchen. Hey, I know he's a so-called white man. It says, "Who has ever seen those protective blast mats? They were deployed immediately. Clearly, this is a setup to try to get sympathy for him and possibly to expand his powers to use his state-run terrorism to silence any opposition." Who in the fuck is Venezuela gonna come up against? That's what I don't get. Y'all are picking on the little guy. Here we are. We got Babylon, right? AKA America, and they got a base everywhere. Yet this guy who we know, I mean, this guy is a Babylonian through and through. He's gonna continue to say, oh, we got some state-run terrorism. What the fuck are you talking about? Are there any terrorists in Venezuela? No. It's done by Israelites, man. Look at this guy. Ha ha ha, that military ran like cowardly draft dodgers. And once again, that's goddamn Edomite. And if there was a draft right now, he'd be the first person to dodge. That's the funny part. Because you niggas don't want no smoke. Here's what's going to happen. Very soon, the United States military is going to have a draft, and women will be included. And a lot of you ladies who've been talking all that shit, they're going to give you a gun. They're going to give you a simple rank. They're going to give you your battle dress uniform, your BDUs. And your ass is going to be chopping for Esau. Okay? That's what's going to happen. It is going to happen. Knowing Maduro, I would not be surprised if this was a staged event. Asking Trump for help is a dead giveaway. Yeah, asking Trump for help is a dead giveaway knowing that his shit is being fucked up. Okay? This is not a staged event on Maduro's part. This is an attack that has been brought about through the so-called white man in order to destabilize Venezuela for its resources. Oh, here we go. Hey, this guy, Vencedor, and this is an Israelite, man. He says, God is on Maduro's side. So some people know. He probably lives in Venezuela too. So it's good to go through these comments, man. So you can kind of get a feel. Because you got the Edomites talking all this shit. Then you got the real people, aka Vencedor right here, saying that God is on Maduro's side, which I believe he is. Now, even though he's still going to destroy, 2/3 of our people, there are some people that the Lord is putting his hand on for the good of all of us. The strength of Maduro is something that, the whole nation of Israel needs to encapture in the fact that he will not stand down. For Hamashiach Yahushai, the watchmen of Israel will never stand down. We will never take the mark of the beast. It don't matter what happens. They can threaten our families. They can kill our families. Kill us. You know what I mean? We're on our Maduro shit. We're not going to take a knee. It's just not going to happen. And then look, man, these so-called white people make me sick. Look at this ounce of logic. How is the Venezuelan tourism industry faring these days? You just, this makes me sick, man. It just make me sick. Because they believe that this is all because of them. You know what I mean? But you know, I love I love a good ending. I always do. So you know, we're gonna go to one of my favorites. Obadiah chapter 1. Oh, we'll start at 1. This is Obadiah chapter 1, verse 1. And this is what's going to happen to all you so-called white people for trying to destroy our people, man. The Venezuelans deserve what they get. The Americans deserve what they get. Everybody on the planet deserves what they get. But for what y'all have done, y'all are finna pay. This is Obadiah chapter 1, verse 1. This is the vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom, aka all so-called white people. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, though thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, aka the so-called white man, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me to the ground? So all the people that are destabilizing Venezuela, you know, the so-called white men that came up with the idea to destabilize Venezuela for the oil, they were probably talking shit the whole time. Hey, who's finna stop us? You know? Who's gonna stop us from destabilizing Venezuela? That's what the so-called white man is saying. Verse 4, thou exalteth thyself as an eagle, or as the eagle, right? And what's the symbol for America? The eagle. What's the symbol for Rome? The eagle. So therefore, what is the symbol for the so-called white man? An eagle. And it says, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. So it's gonna get so bad because eventually the so-called white man is gonna fuck up. Because he's made too many enemies, and he's gonna try to leave this earth. That's why he constantly talking about going to Mars. Your ass ain't going to Mars, nigga. The Most High, Yahweh forbid, before a so-called white man ever gets to ruin another planet, he's got to deal with the problems that he's created on this one first. This is verse 5. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? So how are we finding out these things? How are his hidden things sought up? And how are they? First of all, through the internet, which is the unicorn, you know, and according to, I believe, Psalms, the 118th chapter, you know, that perfectly talks about how you'll be able to reach people through the horn of the unicorn. And that horn of the unicorn is the internet. Because these are the things that are being searched out. Everybody, you know, from making these videos to watching certain brothers at certain camps to reading, these are the ways that Esau is searched out. And in order to make that information apparent, you go on the internet and you bring the truth out. So that's how these hidden things are sought up. And the Most High created the internet. This is verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom? And the wise men are those elites. And those elites are the people who came up with the idea to destabilize Venezuela for that oil. They wanted to hit a lick. You see? So even the wise men out of Edom are going to get destroyed. Okay? And understanding out of the mount of Esau. And thy mighty men, O Taman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, okay, in Venezuela is Jacob. Venezuela is part of the 12 tribes of Israel. So for your violence against them, thou shalt be cut off forever. And how are you going to be cut off forever? You're going to serve in that slavery for 1,000 years. Then you're going to be rounded up and burned. Just like y'all like to do. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast as one of them. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. What is the so-called white man doing? He's laying his hands on that substance, which is that oil, in the day of their calamity. And Venezuela is going through calamity. You got rape, murder. You got people eating out of trash cans. All right. You got people leaving their babies in apartments unattended. Okay, left to starve, left to die. You know what I mean? That shit is happening right now. Verse 14. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. So even back then, when the Israelites were escaping, a lot of you so-called white people were hunting them people down. Oh, this guy escaped. I know where his family is. And they do that to the people in Venezuela now. When they leave from Venezuela, where do they have to go through? They obviously have to travel through Panama, Mexico in order to get to America. So as they're traveling from Venezuela to America, the so-called white man is hunting them down. Through ICE, through all these other agencies, trying to say, oh, well, they need to stay out of our country. Y'all got this country through rape, rob, and murder. And the reason why I'm reading Obadiah is to come to the conclusion that y'all will pay for what y'all have done. Every single day I see a fellow brother of mine, their channel is getting deleted. I don't give a fuck if my channel gets deleted. These things are set in motion by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and they're not going to be unset. Because what does the so-called white man say in his science class? Energy can't be created nor destroyed, What does he also say? He says that a force in motion cannot be stopped unless a force acts upon it, right? So that force that's acting upon this world is Yahushai, and nothing can stop what Hamashiach Yahushai has for this world, man. Nothing is going to stop the destruction of the so-called white man. This is verse 15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine old head. So for you destabilizing countries, your shit is getting destabilized. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, okay, and that is my separate mountain, my separate people, who is Israel, and Venezuela falls under the category of Israel. So shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. So y'all are going to be desolate. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness. And the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire. And the house of Joseph a flame, just as we read before. And the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau. And who is that? They of the south. That's Judah. Judah is the southern kingdom. Shall possess the mount of Esau. And they of the plain of the Philistines. And they shall possess the fields of Ephraim. And the fields of Samaria. And Benjamin shall possess Gilead. And the captivity of the host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath. And the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Shepharad, shall possess the cities of the south. And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau. And who are those saviors? The saviors are the watchmen. The saviors are the men of the Lord. You know, I'm always proud to say that I'm a man of the Lord, and by definition, you know, every man that is under the vibration of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, they're a savior. So the saviors are the watchmen of Israel, not you damn Christians sitting there. Y'all gonna sit here, eat a goddamn baconator, go to church, dance and laugh for a couple minutes, and y'all are acting like y'all are the saviors. No, the saviors are the men who are sighing and crying continuously over the condition of their people. I continuously sigh and cry over the condition of the Venezuelans, man, because so-called white man has destabilized every country he's ever touched. And I'm just gonna end it here. So I'll read 21 again. And the saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau. So our people are going to judge their people. And the kingdom shall be the Lord's. So the kingdom in the end that'll be established on earth, it'll be Yahweh, then his son Yahushai, then King David on down. You understand? There will be a hierarchy that will never cease to exist. You know, and Kwam Yashar Wahamashiach Yahushai for that, you know? Because we never thought that we'd achieve this sort of knowledge. We never thought that we'd have something over the so-called white man through this knowledge, which is our sword. So they can keep sending drones. They can keep deleting channels. The word is out that the people of Israel, man, they're standing up for what they believe in. And that the men of Israel, the watchmen, are going to continue to rally up people in righteousness. We don't need to go down to Parliament and have some, you know, and when I say Parliament, I mean like the government. We don't need to go down to the government and tell them, y'all need to stay out of Venezuela. No, prophesy continuously against the so-called white man, and we'll let the Lord do the rest. So with that, I want to say all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom to the people that are finally starting to come into this truth. Every single day, I'm starting to see more people, talk about Israel. I'm starting to see more videos. There are more channels being brought up. The so-called white man is deleting so many channels on YouTube, but he can't delete enough videos, you know? So to those that are continuing to keep this fire, keep this truth on them, and continue to pray for your people. I continue to pray for the 1/3 in the elect of Israel. I don't pray for the 2/3 of Israel because they're helping sow this iniquity with the so-called white man. You goddamn women, if you're with a so-called white man, that's your lot, man. And whatever happens to you, just know that it's because you're a man. All you so-called niggas that are talking shit to Latinos, saying, "Oh, Venezuela deserves to happen what happens to them because they're dirty wetbacks." All you fucking niggas that are being murderers towards your brothers, death to y'all, man. Death to 2/3 of Israel, unfortunately, but it must be said. Death to Esau, death to the heathen, and shalom to the hopeful elect.